Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Today is Wednesday, July 27, 2022. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. We are live in New York City on the third day of the opening of the Jackie Robinson Museum, where tonight they will be actually having the screening of the movie After Jackie. And there was a celebrity Q&A after that. We'll be broadcasting that live for you. Also on today's show, the United States proposes a prisoner swap to get Brittney Griner back home. We'll tell you about that, give you those details. Also on today's show, the Department of Justice hits a real estate company owned by Warren Buffett, the second largest racial discrimination, housing discrimination settlement in American history. We'll give you those details. Also, President Joe Biden no longer has COVID. We will show you exactly what he had to say. Also on today's show, Nikki Fried, she's running for governor of Florida. She will join us on Roland Martin Unfiltered. And Tiffany Haddish will join us in our Tech Talk segment. Yes, she is involved with the technology company. We'll tell you all about it. All that and more right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. It is time to bring the funk. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now. Martin.
Folks, this is day 3 of the opening of the Jackie Robinson Museum. Tonight, they are showing the movie After Jackie. And so we are here to broadcast this. Today, there was a block party where they had children, others who were going through the museum for the first time. And so we certainly are happy to be here and be able to show that for you. Also, there's going to be a celebrity talk back. Take place after the documentary, and we'll also be showing you that right here on the Black Star Network. Folks, it has been 3 days of festivities beginning on Monday. We were here on Monday where they had a showing, if you will, a private showing for folks who were donors of the museum. Then, of course, last night, they had the gala party. Slick Rick and Dougie Fresh, they performed. We'll hear from them a little bit later as they share their thoughts about performing, and also Ray Chu and his wife as well. They put together the music last night, and so we will hear from them as well. But first up on today's show, the federal government, they have proposed a prisoner swap for Brittney Griner. She's been held now for 160 days in Russia after being caught with cannabis in her luggage. And so what is being proposed right now, folks, is actually a prisoner swap. And the prisoner swap was an arms dealer who is being held in the United States. Actually, there are a couple of people who are being held there. First of all, in Russia, and so they have been negotiating for quite some time. Now, remember, Brittney Griner, she pled guilty to the charges of bringing the items in. She has testified saying she was not aware of what was actually going on. Here's Secretary of State Anthony Blnken talking about this negotiation.
In the coming days, I expect to speak with Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov for the first time since the war began. I plan to raise an issue that's a top priority for us: the release of Americans Paul Whelan and Brittney Griner, who've been wrongfully detained and must be allowed to come home. We put a substantial proposal on the table weeks ago to facilitate their release. Our governments have communicated repeatedly and directly on that proposal. And I'll use the conversation to follow up personally and, I hope, move us toward a resolution.
As I said, Griner testified earlier today at her possession trial, and she said that an interpreter translated only a fraction of what she said during questioning when she was detained at Moscow's airport in February. She said officials told her to sign documents without explaining what they were. She also said no one explained her rights nor gave her access to a lawyer. Again, as I said, she has pled guilty to those charges, and people and folks have said that hopefully they believe that is going to pave the way for her to be released. My panel today, Robert Patillo, Executive Director of the Rainbow Push Coalition, Peachtree Street Projects, Monique Presley, legal analyst and host of Make It Make Sense with Monique Presley, Dr. Jason Nichols, Senior Lecturer, African American Studies Department, University of Maryland, College Park. Monique, there have been a number of people, a number of black women and others who have been making the point that more pressure needs to be applied to get Brittney Griner released. This proposed prisoner swap was what many people said was we were eventually going to get to. And so if this is successful, Brittney Griner may very well be on her way home soon. Monique, you're muted. You're muted.
I was saying it did take time for them to get that together. I wish that it had happened sooner, and I pray that it is successful. These things obviously come at a cost, and Russia was not going to be willing to just release her and get nothing in exchange. So I pray that it works.
Robert Patillo, again, this is look, this is major here because, again, she's being held. We know exactly what's going on. You've got Putin and Ukraine war that's going on, and frankly, she's a prisoner of war. He's using her as a chess piece against the United States.
Well, I had the honor of being on Russian television earlier today, along with Reverend Jesse Jackson, to discuss the release of Ms. Griner, particularly on humanitarian grounds. We cannot ignore the fact that this sets a dangerous precedence going forward, offering a prison swap in exchange for a U.S. celebrity. What would stop the Iranian government from kidnapping Rihanna, or what would stop the Chinese from detaining LeBron James in the future in order to get many of their prisoners held here in the United States to be released? Particularly this individual, Victor Bout, who is an arms dealer for the FARC, the Colombian terrorist organization that has resulted in the deaths and displacements of tens of thousands of people in Central and South America. We have to make sure we're very judicious in how we approach this situation. At the end of the day, we do want Ms. Griner and all the other Americans being unjustly held there in Russia to be released, but we also need to make sure that America is doing their part and upholding human rights to standards that they claim that they want to enforce against other nations. I think a big part of this also has to be, up until about 5 years ago, Brittney Griner would have gone to jail in America for doing the same thing. And we are not going to address cannabis decriminalization here in the United States of America. It's difficult for us to say that Brittney Griner is being held against her human rights for having marijuana when there are people in the United States in prison right now for the exact same substance that we don't want to give the same justice to. So we have to make sure that we are doing this in a judicious way and following all international human rights norms, but we have to also use this opportunity to focus on creating the change we need here at home.
Jason, your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I don't know anybody who's been held that long for 0.7 grams of marijuana here in the United States. They've been held, there are people who are incarcerated for something that lots of people make lots of money on in some states like Colorado, where you can be a weed millionaire while others are held behind bars, primarily black and brown. But what she did was incredibly minor, and this is 100% a political move, and she is a political prisoner in Russia. I do think that this, as Robert is kind of stating here, I think that this swap is imbalanced. Paul Whelan, if you know, he basically was set up by the Russian government. I 100% believe that he is not guilty of espionage and all the things that they are saying that he committed, and he's been in prison unjustly for a very long time. And now you have Brittney Griner, who is a political prisoner and a ploy, by the Russian government. And I think the United States is in a jam because we need to get our citizens home, particularly ones who have not committed crimes or committed very minor crimes, and they can't be held that way. That said, this is imbalanced because you have a person who is an international terrorist who's probably going to be released after 10 years when he was supposed to serve 25, for somebody who is accused of having 0.7 grams of hash oil. That's not a balanced trade.
First of all, again, the trade hasn't happened. We'll see exactly what happens when it comes to that decision, and hopefully it can get resolved soon. Let's go to Minnesota, where two ex-cops who were convicted in federal court of violating George Floyd's civil rights, they are headed to prison. A federal judge sentenced Tal Thao to 3.5 years and J. Alexander King to 3 years in prison for their involvement in the death of George Floyd. King was the one who pinned Floyd's back, and Thao held back bystanders while Derek Chauvin knelt on Floyd's neck for 9.5 minutes. Prosecutors say King didn't say anything to stop Chauvin. U.S. District Judge Paul Magnuson cited King's rookie status as a reason for the lighter sentence. The federal prosecutor, Amanda Sertic, disagreed, saying, quote, all he had to do, per MPD, Minneapolis Police Department policy, was an attempt to intervene. But he didn't say a word, not one word. Defendant King's oral argument about his junior status doesn't hold much weight because the bar for him was so low and he didn't even try to get over it. King and Thao now wait a state trial on October 24th, where they face aiding and abetting second-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter charges. Robert, obviously, this was different from Chauvin's case, where the state went first, then the feds came. Here, the feds went first, and then the state. Just your assessment of the officers involved in the death of George Floyd going to prison.
Well, I think it's great that we can have a conviction in cases like this, which is a divergence from historical precedents. But at the same time, this is a ridiculously light sentence. If you put this in the civilian context, it will just one person commits a murder, another person holds the person down, another person holds the crowd back. They all would have been charged with felony murder or under accomplice liability and all face the exact same punishment. In this case, you have somebody serving 3.5 years, which is less than a slap on the wrist when it comes to the amount of time they will actually serve for the extensive aiding and abetting or being party to a murder. And so I think while we can celebrate the fact that the justice system has worked in some measure, we do have to ensure there is parity and fairness in our judicial system, where simply being a quote-unquote rookie cop doesn't inoculate you from the full punishment of the law that any other citizen would face.
Monique, I was at the Rock Nation Social Justice Conference, and Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison was on one of the panels. And he said, folks, let's be clear. Your protest made the prosecution possible. Your protest is what is working to hold these folks accountable. And so because he was answering a question for some people who say, well, you know what, protest doesn't do anything. It really isn't enough. And his whole point was, no, that has to continue, because that's why we are seeing the kind of pressure being put on DAs and others to actually prosecute cops for wrongdoing.
Yeah, and I think that's disgraceful. I think that he's correct, and I think that the protests have proven to be necessary for that purpose, but it is not supposed to be the case that prosecutors are swayed one way or the other due to public pressure when their obligation is to apply the law and to prosecute crimes, to charge and prosecute cases that they know that they, or at least they strongly believe, can be proven guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. And the fact that it's necessary for millions to take to streets all over the world to get sworn oath-taking government officials to do their constitutional duty is a disgrace.
Jason.
Yeah, I honestly just want to echo what Monique said. I think that it's terrifying that one way or the other that public pressure can lead to indictments. I think that's a slippery slope. I wouldn't want for someone to be angry at Roland Martin and then you see a bunch of right-wing protesters and then you get a BS indictment. So I think one of the things that we have to expect from our law enforcement officials, which includes district attorneys and state's attorneys, and of course ADAs, is of course for them to apply the law and for them to hold people accountable. And in this particular case, these men clearly aided in the death of George Floyd and should have been punished and should have been tried and held accountable the way they were. But it should not come from public protest. I think that's a dangerous, I pronounce it precedent. Now I'm like questioning myself because I keep hearing my brother Robert Patillo say precedent. But, it sets a dangerous tone for the future where that can be held against, innocent people are put through a prosecution because of public pressure. And it shouldn't be that way.
Can I add something?
Well, here's the deal. Yeah.
I was just going to say it's not a dangerous precedent for the future. We've actually seen those things play out. Perhaps people have heard of a case where a well-known veteran entertainer was, due to public pressure and due to the cry of the mob, prosecuted by a state-elected prosecutor in the state of Pennsylvania, who waited until the 11th hour before the statute of limitations ran to charge an over-decade-old case. And ultimately, on appeal, that case was dismissed, and the only reason that happened was because of public pressure. So when the prosecutor does the right thing because of public pressure, it's wrong. When the prosecutor does the wrong thing because of public pressure, it's wrong. In either instance, we have the right to our voices. We always should use them. That's why we have elections. We put those people in office if they've run for those offices. But for a prosecutor to bend to the will or the emotions of people in making decisions about violations of the law and of the Constitution is in error. It is misconduct.
Well, look, I understand the point that Keith Ellison was making, and what he was trying to say to people is that taking to the streets protest does indeed matter because it's about holding people accountable. And the bottom line is this here. It's not like we've actually seen a plethora of DAs doing the right thing by prosecuting people. So I understand his point, and I agree with it 100%. Got to go to a break. We come back. We'll talk with Nikki Fried. She's running for governor of Florida. The question is this here. Can Democrats in Florida get their act together? That used to be a blue state. Then it was a purple state. Florida is now a red state. Can she be the Democratic nominee to beat Ron DeSantis and all the money that he has raised as the incumbent governor? That is next on Roland Martin Unfiltered, broadcasting live from the Jackie Robinson Museum grand opening week right here on the Black Star Network.
Next Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach. You see the headlines, all frightening, right? Interest rates are going up. The recession is on the way. The stock market is up and down. But you know what they say, scared money don't make money. That's why I'm excited on our next Get Wealthy to have a conversation with someone who has written a new book, Fearless Finances, and she's going to share exactly what you need to do to secure your bag regardless of the ups and downs of the economy or the stock market.
Oftentimes you can start with as little as $5.
That's right here, only on Get Wealthy on Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
My name is Charlie Wilson.
Hi, I'm Sally Richardson Whitfield.
And I'm Dodger Whitfield.
Hey everybody, this is your man Fred Hammond, and you're watching Roland Martin, my man, Unfiltered.
Primary, folks, will not happen until August 23rd. And there are 4 Democratic nominees for governor who want to be the one to run against incumbent Governor Ron DeSantis. Those 4 candidates are Congressman Charlie Crist, former governor of Florida, Cadence Daniel, Robert Willis, as well as the Agriculture Commissioner of the state, Nikki Fried. Nikki joins us right now on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Glad to have you on the show, Nikki. Thank you so very much. First and foremost, Ron DeSantis has raised a significant amount of money. He is a darling of the MAGA crowd. He already has his eyes set on the running for president in 2024, but he wants to do so as the governor of Florida. How are you and others going to stop him from winning another term?
First of all, Roland, it is such an honor to be on with you tonight. You are a legend, but you already know that. Look, here's the deal. You know, Ron has been flying so close to the sun. He is right now speaking very loudly to a very small population here in the state of Florida. And then after we win this primary, we'll be able to create such a coalition of individuals who really have been hurt and humiliated and silenced by this DeSantis administration. I was the first person in 2020 as our only statewide elected Democrat to really call him out for becoming a dictator. That's what he's done. He is taking away people's rights to protest, rights to vote. Look, he took away our 2 Black congressional districts here in the state of Florida. He's now going after teachers, higher ed system, going after Disney World. There are so many things that he really truly has done here in the state of Florida that come the general election, the money is going to pour here into the state of Florida because people realize that he wants to run for president of the United States. And so this is going to be a POTUS primary, and we know that we've got the right equation, we've got the right candidate, and it's a matter of going everywhere in our state and giving people another option, but also talking about the economy. People are hurting right now, and DeSantis is more concerned about blaming President Biden than really looking at the issues on the ground that is happening and hurting people every single day here.
Well, here's a perfect example. DeSantis is going around the state right now, presenting checks left and right. That's money that came from the bill that Biden pushed that many Republicans voted against. Are you and other Democrats following him around? Are people holding up signs saying, hey, thank Biden, these checks ain't DeSantis' money. This came from the Democratic president. I mean, here's a guy literally trying to take credit and burnish his credentials with money that Republicans did not want to vote for.
Absolutely. You know, when that money first was passed in 2021, you know, he came out and said, well, we didn't get enough money or we got too much money. And so I called out his nepotism and I called out the hypocrisy of some of those dollars. And now he's touting the fact that we've got the largest surplus in the history of the state of Florida. Well, of course you do, because all this money came down from President Biden. And so every single time we are calling it out on social media, we are calling out as much as we can, making people understand the money that is going into these communities is coming from the Biden plans that they passed. And not a single Republican in the state of Florida, you know, voted for it. So we're calling this out and making people understand. And look also where the money is going. The money is going into white wealthy communities or in white rural communities, and not really focusing on what is happening on the ground in so many pockets of our communities that haven't seen any of these dollars for stimulants, to see where we can put money for producing more jobs and economic opportunities, especially in our Black and brown communities. So we are calling them out as loud as possible, and certainly after the primary, we will have an even larger microphone that we're going to be able to crisscross our state and remind people that this money came from Washington, D.C. This has absolutely nothing to do with Ron DeSantis. In fact, he wants to talk about inflation. Well, then you shouldn't have taken the money to begin with if that really is your concern.
One of the things that you have to deal with, and we have to be honest, Democrats have been porous in the state. The state party has had fundamental problems. When you look at, again, the gains the Republicans have made, they have been significant. And so there's a huge task at hand. Congresswoman Val Demings has the same issue running against Senator Marco Rubio in the United States Senate race. If I go back to the race 4 years ago, Andrew Gillum versus Ron DeSantis, Gillum loses by 30,000 votes. But one of the issues that I'm the Tallahassee Democrat, they actually had a graphic, and I showed it consistently, where they showed the top 12 or 15 counties in the state. Well, it took you to get to like number 11 in terms of turnout before you saw a blue county. I believe that was Broward County. Miami-Dade was lower. And so what are you and others going to do or trying to do to really repair the infrastructure of the Democratic Party in terms of being able to get folks out to vote, appeal to Latino voters? They've been voting significantly with Republicans, but also turning out Black voters. If you don't do well as Democrats in Broward or Miami-Dade County, you have no shot at winning. What's the plan?
Yep, absolutely, and you're 100% correct. You know, when I ran in 2018, so I was on the same ticket as Andrew, and I thank every single day the Black voters that came out, because I know that they mobilized and they came out for Andrew, and I reaped the benefit of that. And so understanding what happened in 2018 and what Democrats do really bad, we spend so much time and energy talking about just the top of the ticket and putting all of our resources at the top of the ticket. And down ballot candidates, our grassroots organizing events, our caucuses, our clubs, our House and our Senate seats, our city and county commission seats don't have the resources that are necessary. So it's part of my pledge that we need the money at the top, but we need to make sure that it's going down. And what's really cool is that we have the opportunity this year that there may be 4 women that come out of this primary season, and 3 that would be women of color. And so looking at the ways to actually market and brand the Democratic Party and do commercials together, all 5 of us, that would be Val, myself, and the other 3 members of the cabinet on the slate doing commercials together, really exciting the base, showing the complete difference. The other thing that we don't do well, which is something that I did well in 2018, which is how I won, is that we only focus on the blue counties. The only person who's been able to do this well in Florida since our last Democratic governor is Barack Obama. He came and understood that we can't just talk to the blue areas. We've got to go to the red rural communities, go to the red counties, and make sure that we're losing by less. And that's what I did in 2018. I targeted 13 counties in my state and said, I know I can't win these. I flipped 2 of them, but losing by less in some of those areas to make up for the gap. Because no matter how much that we turn out in Dade and Broward and some of our other blue areas, we can't overcome if we ignore them. And when it comes to the Hispanic community, we also in 2020 ignored them. We basically conceded the state. We had very little involvement from the Biden campaign here in 2020, where you saw the Trump machine come here and talking to the Hispanic community. So day 1 of my campaign, we started what's called the Nikki Escucha Tour, Nikki Listens. We crisscrossed our state talking to the Hispanic community, but not as a whole. We talked to the Puerto Rican community, the Cuban community, Colombian, Venezuelan, even making sure that we're talking to the Haitian community, which is different than just the Black community, making sure that we're talking to the Caribbean community. And so we as Democrats haven't done a good job making sure that we understood and listened to what are the issues on the ground infecting each of these different communities. I was born and raised in Miami. My back neighbors were Cubans growing up. I heard the stories. I went to Cayo Ocho once a month growing up. And a lot of times is understanding that the personal plight that so many of these individuals went through to get to Florida, get to America, understanding those situations and saying, look, at the end of the day, we all want freedom. We all want democracy. And unfortunately, you've got a governor right here who's doing just the opposite. And we understand the economic struggles that so many people are dealing with today that Ron DeSantis is not dealing with, wants to focus his time and energy on Washington, D.C., and not in the actual backyards of the people here in our state.
Well, here's a perfect example. Here's Ron DeSantis, just flat out lying in this news conference. See if I can play this here. Here we go. All right, so for some reason we're not playing it, but basically DeSantis is out here talking about how school workers are telling kids, oh, you have the option, to change your gender. He's throwing these things out. We saw him attack the black congressional district. We saw what happened with Disney as well. This guy has lied. He lied about critical race theory being in math books. And I think, so are people literally calling him on his lies?
Yes. We're doing that every single day. And what is great is the fact that, as our only statewide elected Democrat, I have been in the trenches. I have been fighting him for the last 3.5 years. And so now as I travel the state and talking to other electeds, other candidates, I make sure that we stay very on focus and on point, because we as Democrats get this tendency to throw everything out there and hope that something sticks. We've got to be very message focused. Got to make sure that we call him out on the lies, on what he's doing. We had Nazis that were protesting in Tampa over this weekend, right outside of where he was giving a speech, showing and holding Nazi flags, holding pictures of him and praising Ron DeSantis. I went out there on Sunday at the exact same spot, asking Ron DeSantis to denounce Nazis. This should be basic 101 for any American here, and especially an individual who leads a state of 22 million people, the most diverse state in the nation with the third largest Jewish population. And so it's going to take all of us this courage to stand up and speak loudly on these issues. And we are saying these things. And of course, unfortunately, the national media, wants to just anoint him as the next heir apparent to Trump and doesn't realize that we need help here on the ground, that we can beat him and we will beat him. He only won by 33,000 votes. This is a state that less than 1% margins are the decisions between winners and losers. I flipped a seat by almost 1 million votes, 20 points in 2018, to be the first female to ever been elected Commissioner of Agriculture here in the state and here in the Southeast. And so we are going to have Democrats stay very laser focused, calling this out, but also not falling for his traps, because that's what he also likes to do. He likes to throw out these things that he knows polls well, not only on his base, but even on some of the moderates in our state. We as Democrats can't focus on falling for his traps. We need to make sure that we are message disciplined. We're talking about the economy, and we're calling out his lies. Even this weekend, last weekend, he said that, again, math books had woke in them. And so that's why they had to be taken off the shelves. This is the situation in Florida, and so this has to be all hands on deck to everybody across the country. This guy is the largest threat to democracy in the entire country, and we're going to need backup and support. I will make sure that we are organized here on the ground, but the resources from across the country is going to be necessary for help and support come November.
All right, then, Nikki Fried. Commissioner Fried, I certainly appreciate it. Thanks a lot. I look forward to having you back, and we'll certainly be watching this race intensely.
Well, appreciate your time and appreciate what you do out here. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Folks, got to go to a break. We come back. We'll talk with Tiffany Haddish, as well as a gentleman she's working with on a technology platform. That's right. And no, it's not comedy. We'll explain next, right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Broadcasting live from the opening of the Jackie Robinson Museum in New York City, right here on the Black Star Network. Don't forget, download the Black Star Network app. Folks, Black-owned, you know what we do. This is about telling our story. And so, again, every platform, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Also, please join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar you give goes to support what we do. And so, checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com. We'll be right back.
Next Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach. You see the headlines, all frightening, right? Interest rates are going up. The recession is on the way. The stock market is up and down. But you know what they say, scared money don't make money. That's why I'm excited on our Next Get Wealthy to have a conversation with someone who has written a new book, Fearless Finances, and she's going to share exactly what you need to do to secure your bag regardless of the ups and downs of the economy or the stock market.
Oftentimes you can start with as little as $5.
That's right here, only on Get Wealthy on Black Star Network.
I'm Deion Cole, and you're watching
Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Stay woke.
All right, folks, y'all know we are all about Black-owned African-Americans who are doing things in the tech space. Every Wednesday we have Tech Talk. And so my next guests are two folks who have come up with a concept that, you know what, maybe you're tired of Zoom or you're tired of Microsoft Teams or Google Meets or any of the other platforms out there. It's called Bizio, B-I-Z-I-O. Comedian Tiffany Haddish, she has teamed up with Richard Thompson, founder of Digital Air Technology and Analytics, to create this platform. Richard joins us from New York. Tiffany is out in L.A. Glad to have both of you on the show. And so, Tiffany, you're on the show.
Yeah, I'm on the show now. I made it.
Y'all, so Tiffany's on stage. Tiffany's on stage at the Superdome at Essence Festival. And so she's on stage with Kenny Burns. Kenny's like, "What's up, Roland?" Shout from the stage. Tiffany go, "Hey, Roland, you ain't called me back." I was like, Lord, look at her showing herself. But it was an email, wasn't a call. But it's all right. Except when you called me at my girls' trip, I never got that call. But it's all right. Glad to have you here. Let's talk about this Bizio.
What do you mean you never got that call?
You know, you remember, your publicists know. I'll tell you about it later. Okay, so let's talk about this Bizio. First of all, Tiffany, where did this come from in terms of you and Richard? How did y'all come together to work on this concept?
Well, I had been talking to a few of my friends about, how I'm going to invest my money in technology that's owned by Black people. Straight up, I feel like, every time I am asked to invest in something technology-wise, and I love technology. I'm a big tech head. So, and every time it's like never developed by us, never really for us, never, it's like, oh, if we do this, it's going to make them rich, but how does that feed us? Like, I'm so much about like, how do I contribute to my community? Yeah, great. I'm making people laugh. I'm, doing this. I'm opening a grocery store, but how can I really contribute and be effective in making small Black businesses grow, making them big Black businesses, and also just making it where we can communicate with each other and we're keeping the dollar circulating in our community as opposed to it going outside.
You're absolutely right. That's one of the reasons why I invested in Isaac Hayes' fan base, because, again, we are very great, Richard, at making other people rich. Black people, we're early adopters. We download apps. We're very involved. Yet, when it's black-owned, folks are like, I don't quite know. And I'm like, yo, what the hell? Have the same energy as you have for some other folks. And so, Richard, how long were you working on this idea? How long were you working on this idea? How long has it been around?
Okay, thank you. Well, Mr. Martin, I want to thank you first. It is an honor being on your show, get a chance to meet you. Like you've been one of the major journalists that's been putting our African community in the place where it should be. Myself, I've been developing enterprise technology for over 25 years. Been building up most of the communication systems for Barclays Capital, BlackRock. I used to run front office New York derivatives for Barclays and front office trading for BlackRock. And one of the things that always got to me is that it was very little recruitment of African Americans to the front office space, where dollars are really made at. And if you also look in enterprise technologies like Microsoft, IBM, Google, when it comes to the recruitment of our community, it's very little. It's less than 3%. So those things bother me very much. I left in 2011 to actually go after how do we actually move the needle. And that was creating the enterprise technology company so we can actually have a competitive space of a Microsoft, of a Google, of an Apple, not just apps. No, let's get to the core of it, and then also get to the core of how do we put ourselves in capital markets. I got a chance to meet Tiffany through a very good friend of mine. His name is Jimmy Martinez, Jimmy Marr. We had wanted a voice that was true, someone that is actually committed to the cause of helping our community. And Tiffany, seeing what we were doing right from the gate, this always gets to me because she loves her people so much. She just put her money right in. She's like, Rich, I see what you guys are doing. I see this commitment. Your struggle is our struggle. Your victory is our victory. So we just came together. Said, you know what? We just gonna do it ourselves. We're always marginalized in technology. We're always marginalized, and we can't manage our money. I was like, forget this. We've been doing it for so long. We can just put it up ourselves. We look like a Google. It's just not the Zoom. But if you go into, we got drives, right? We got mail coming along, but we also have a Salesforce type CRM, QuickBooks, everything that we need to back office things that run our communities. And then we got our own trading systems that we're using that right now is being activated on the continent of Africa. We connected Ghana and Kenya to make trades there. And we've done it just with us, right? Because it had to be done.
A real Black Wall Street. Hello.
We aren't just making apps. The infrastructure that moves.
So first of all, where can I access it? That's first. Is it in an app? Is it desktop based? Is it pad based? So where can I access it right now?
So right now you can just go to the Bizio.com, and that's the interest way for the portal. And the apps we will be releasing in the App Store right now. They're just waiting for it to be approval in a few more days, and you'll see the Bizio Meet. What you're on right now will be an actual app.
So this is it. So this is it right here, guys. Show my iPad. So is Bizio.com?
Yeah, THE. Put in the Bizio first. THE, thebizio.com.
See, there you go. So again, for the folks out there, so I want people who are watching, when we talk about our Tech Talk segment, I want them also downloading and looking at it while we're doing it as well. And so Tiffany, he said there are several things that it does, so it's not just one thing. And so that's also pretty cool because it allows you to tap into different lanes of people as opposed to just sort of one thing.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a place where small Black businesses can keep their, not even big businesses, but you can do QuickBooks, so you can keep accounts of everything that's going on in your business. We also are in a couple of schools too, right, Rich? We're in HBCU. We're in but like, so my dream is that we're able to communicate and like let each other know what's going on in the community and not have it be, manipulated through the voice of somebody that's not like us. You know what I'm saying? As someone in the entertainment business, I love to be able to talk directly to my fans and not have it be censored or, they exaggerate or put stuff on it that's not true. When it comes to our health, our finances, the way that we do things in the world, like I noticed they're able to control their media and communicate the way they want to with each other, but we are not always able to do that. That's why I love you, because you have your platform and you talk to us, right? Yes. And we're sharing information with each other, and I think that's so important. So not only can you do like your own, accounting on here, but we can have our own. This is our Zoom, okay? This Bizio Meets is our thing, so it's not being, monitored by them. And then you have your own. We have a whole board where you can click in and see what's going on in the community, what's going on over here, what's going on in Africa, and all of that. Where we're communicating with each other, so the diaspora will be connected.
Yes.
Wow, absolutely. So as I'm scrolling through here, and looking at the options, it definitely provides all of that. I'm going to bring my panel in for questions. Let me first start. Jason, you're a professor at the University of Maryland. You get the first question for Tiffany and Richard regarding the Bizio, Bizio.com. Jason. Jason, hit them. You're muted, dude.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me start.
Lord have mercy.
Real quick. Thank y'all for coming on, and thank y'all for explaining what it is that you've created here. I think it's amazing that you're connecting all these different parts of the diaspora and getting more African Americans into tech. So that's one of my questions. Is there any way or anything you're doing to get perhaps young Black people who are interested in tech to work for the company and maybe expand the company using young Black people in tech? Because that is going to be, I was just reading a book that said that tech is going to be bigger than construction for the next decade. So is there anything that you guys are doing to maybe mentor young people to get them and get people working in your company, Black people, as you guys grow?
Yes. Tiffany, do you want me to answer that?
Go ahead, Rich. Take it away.
Well, one of the things that we're doing, we have partnerships with UCF regarding HBCU. One of the first things we're putting in is a finance and wealth platform, and we'll be training HBCU students to work on our platform. Because being in the front office, especially in that space, we don't get access to Bloomberg. It's very expensive, right? So to be able to bring that data and access to wealth and how wealth is managed and be able to create, quants for myself, that's part of my background also. So partnering with UCF and creating partnerships with the HBCU, we're going to be able to now bring on 500 students at first to be able to be trained. We say, hey, if we get you trained so you can see what a training floor looks like, or what the tech that goes along to actually create that looks like. We want to get that training out earlier.
And then we'll have the Haddish report. Forget the Bloomberg report.
There we go, baby. There we go. We come up with all that energy.
Well, I have some Black students too, if you need, if you're students, I'm not at an HBCU, but we definitely have some Black students at the University of Maryland. If you're looking for some talented students, let me know.
Yes.
All right. Robert Patillo, you're next.
Thank you all so much for this outstanding application. I do have a question about growth. A lot of things, it's not about the product itself, it's how it's advertised, how it's pushed to people. Have you guys reached out to Black content creators, bloggers, internet influencers, business owners who can, in putting this into their hands to make sure that they can push out to the audience? Because often it's far more important to make sure more people know about it, even more so than having an outstanding product you already have.
Oh, Tiffany, you want to go to the actual growth strategy?
Yeah, well, so we're definitely on top of that. I'm also a content creator and an influential person, but I can't do it all by myself. I'm making movies and stuff too. So we definitely are reaching out to,
I said right, right.
That part. So that part, I just want to get with that. So, but we definitely are reaching out to content creators. Right now, we just launched like 2 weeks ago. So it's a slow rollout process because we want to make sure that it works. Like for me, it's like anything that I put out into the market, I want to make sure that it's 100% efficient. And so we've already did the first kickoff. The next go round, there'll be we have a whole ambassador program, and you'll be hearing more about it. You're hearing it here first, but we already have a bunch of people signed up. But there'll be even more and more to come. You'll be seeing on my social media platforms me putting it out there. I mean, I'm setting up where all my meetings happen here on Bizio Meets. So I don't play. Yeah, we're gonna make them give it us.
Oh, and that's how you actually do it, Monique.
Yeah, I first of all, Howard University is right down the street. I just want to clarify that for that University of Maryland offer. HU, just let me just off the jump say that, and then I'm really thankful that you all are doing this, but I am just extra proud to be a Black woman right now. They always were trying to marginalize and put us in boxes, and only, even if it's a great box, they want us to just be in the one. So thank you, Tiffany, for this, because even in the doing of it, you're setting examples for daughters like mine, that we don't have to be compartmentalized and we can't be kept in one space. And as we branch out, we can branch out in ways that help our community. So thank you.
Best believe. Let me tell you something. My business manager was getting on me because she's like, you putting how much money into this? You could go on vacations. You need to move out of South Central LA and move into the Hollywood Hills, Beverly Hills. And I'm like, I'd rather stay in South Central LA, invest my money in companies that I believe in that are owned by us, and watch them grow and see South Central LA turn into Beverly Hills. That's right. See my community transform into something amazing. And like, I could be like really like stingy, so go buy me like all designer clothes, which I've been doing kind of, but they've been giving them to me because I talks about it. But also like, I could be having me a Bugatti and all that. But instead, I decided to build a platform that's going to build us up. I'd rather put my money in my people than put all my money in me. I put a lot of it in me too, but you know what I'm saying.
Amen.
But the thing there, but the thing there, Richard, what Tiffany just said, is that, and I need all these Black folks right now who are watching us on the Black Star Network, who are watching us on Facebook, on YouTube. Also, y'all on YouTube, stop freeloading. Hit the damn like button. We should be at 1,000 by now. But here's the whole deal. Black folks spend too much time flossing. Ross Perot,
way too much,
who passed away. Ross Perot was worth $3 to $4 billion. Ross Perot, remember that ran for president? He drove a minivan. Mm-hmm. Warren Buffett got like damn near $100 billion. He drives like a truck. So the thing is, so I get, hey, the finer things in life, but the reality is, what Tiffany's doing, saying, look, I put $50,000 into fan base. That's called taking money, and you might have a multiple of 100, 500, 1,000. Everybody running around right now trying to buy the lotto tickets to hit that lotto. That mega millions is now over $1 billion. But guess what? If you invest your money in certain companies, that could be your billion.
Exactly. I'm tired of these dudes wearing diamonds on their neck but still renting a one-bedroom apartment. Get out of my face with that. I want people around me that own land. I want to show my people how to own land, own companies. That's where the money's at, baby. Yes. Like, that's where the growth is. That's where you will be able to see your children have food on the table every day when you build something that we use. We spend more money on other people's stuff as opposed to let's build it ourselves and make it spend it for us. Like, let's watch us grow. There'll be less crime, I can tell you that much.
Yes.
There'll be less of us in jail.
And Tiffany, to actually add to that, let's say the digital revolution industry is actually happening now because we got Web3 happening, which, you know, the privacy and security of data, and then you have the industry 4.0, which talks about automation, right? Those two things are happening. And without us training our workforce to be able to participate that, because the businesses are not going to train our communities. The Bizio is built on that architecture so that we can now train our communities to create wealth for our community. And if you look at those companies, they represent $7 trillion worth of market cap. So if you go into Microsoft, Apple, Google, Facebook, that's $7 trillion, right? Little of that comes to our communities is hit. So if we create enterprise that looks like those companies and we actually protect our data, now we start to get in the ball game and have a greater impact to our wealth in our future.
And we will outperform now.
Yes.
Well, and the fact of the matter is this here, and I can tell you this, folks. I know this because of private equity. Black and minority firms outperform white firms when it comes to the private equity. But they don't get the multi-billion-dollar funds to be able to manage. And so I think this is it's absolutely fabulous idea. I look forward to actually testing it. You say you're rolling it out. So, Richard, when does the app roll out? So right now, to use the platform, can you only use it on your computer? When will we be able to use the Bizio on the iPad as well as on the phone?
Yeah, they'll be available August 1st. So I will keep you updated. Right now, we're just waiting for the approval. The apps are done. So as soon as it's approved by Apple, and we're looking forward to be by the first, the top of the month, it will be available.
Absolutely. Well, look, I think that is a fabulous. And again, I'm a firm believer. Where'd Tiffany go? I'm a firm believer in us. So the reason we created this segment was specifically to allow for African Americans in technology to be able to tout their products. And so we appreciate both of you joining us on the show. Richard, thank you so very much. Tiffany,
thank you so much.
Thank you so very much for coming on the show. Certainly let us know how it goes. And look, again, we do look forward to actually seeing this app and actually using it, because it is about us creating wealth. And look, we use technology like more than anybody else, and it's great to be able to do it with black folks.
Thank you.
All right, folks, I appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. All right, Tiffany, I'll send you a text because I don't see your picture there. I'll send you a text. All right, folks, we're going to go to a break. When we come back, there we go. We come back, more Roland Martin Unfiltered. We'll hear from Slick Rick, Dougie Fresh, Ray Chu, Vivian Chu about the Jackie Robinson Museum. And we also will talk with the director of the movie After Jackie. All of that in the second hour. Roland Martin Unfiltered, YouTube, Facebook. Hit that like button, hit that share button, spread the message. We're here in New York City celebrating the great Jackie Robinson and his amazing legacy on the Black Start Network, black-owned, unapologetic, and unfiltered.
Sexy to me is the exact same feeling as running water, ever flowing. Water always finds a way to get through. And so when you know that you're sexy, there are no questions about it. It is an ever-flowing emotion. It is an ever-flowing feeling. When you question it, though, you stop the water. I struggle with this a lot, mainly because I've been told what sexy should look like, what it should feel like. As a model who did Sports Illustrated, you're told that this is what sells sexy. But then you travel the world, and what's sexy to one person is not sexy to another person. I'm more of a mindfuck kind of person. How can you stimulate the brain?
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's sexy.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for a Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Hi, I'm Amber Stevens-West from The Carmichael Show. Hi, my name is LaToya Luckett, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Sharmikia Williams has been missing from Crystal Springs, Mississippi since July 24th. The 15-year-old, who goes by the name Sweet Pea, is 5 feet 7 inches tall, weighs 276 pounds, with brown hair and hazel eyes. She may be in need of medical attention. Anyone with information about Sharmikia Williams should call the Copiah County, Mississippi Sheriff's Office at 601-892-2023, 601-892-2023. Some good news about a black and missing reported on the other day. Marshall Grant Griffin, he was found yesterday. We got an email from Grant's father who told us his son was found and is safe. So we are certainly glad to hear that. Folks, in North Carolina, thousands of felons in North Carolina are getting their voting rights restored. Starting today, the Board of Elections will allow anyone not currently in jail or on parole to register to vote. In March, a panel of judges struck down an old North Carolina law preventing anyone from registering until the end of their sentence. The judges said the law discriminates explicitly against black folks. This is a perfect example. I keep saying it, Monique, why voting matters and why you need to have people need to be supporting civil rights lawyers who are out there fighting the good fight, because them battling these type of laws has now created the opportunity for folks to be able to vote in North Carolina who were formerly incarcerated. Is Monique there? Okay, Monique can't hear me. What's the deal, y'all?
Yeah.
Robert, can you hear me?
I hear you.
Yeah, I hear you as well.
Okay, you weigh in on you weigh in on this story.
So yeah, I think that's absolutely correct. That the public pressure, the things that we can do as a community can actually affect change. And
I can hear you, but not the show.
Okay, Jason, go ahead, Jason.
And this is the kind of thing that can sway elections. This is one of the reasons why we have voter suppression, trying to keep people, people who may have had a felony record, keeping them from voting. This is what swayed elections for generations in the state of Florida that we were just mentioning, was that if you had a felony record, you were disenfranchised. And once they fixed that, they started, Ron DeSantis started finding loopholes, saying you had to pay all of your court fines and everything before you could actually vote. There's no reason why people shouldn't be able to vote if they were incarcerated. There are 2 states in this nation where you can vote while you're incarcerated. It just so happens those are 2 of the whitest states in the nation, which is Maine and Vermont, I believe. So this is really important. Voting is a key element of our citizenship. And I know that as someone who teaches about, Reconstruction every semester, how important the vote was to Black people and how incarceration has been used as a means to keep Black people from voting. We need to make sure that this is the case nationwide, and this is a really important step forward in the state of North Carolina.
It is. This next story, Warren Buffett's mortgage company, they have reached a historic $24 million settlement with the Department of Justice dealing with the issue of redlining. Triton Mortgage Company is accused of discriminating against potential Black and Latino homebuyers in Philadelphia, New Jersey, and Delaware from 2015 to 2019. Employees did not approve loans to Black prospects and called certain neighborhoods ghettos. The company is setting aside $20 million in loans for underserved communities and hiring minority loan officers. The company stopped writing mortgages in 2020. Despite the settlement, the company denies the allegations and insists it does not discriminate against home buyers of color. Well, we know that's bullshit, Robert and Monique, because you don't pay $24 million just for the hell of it.
Absolutely. And Roland, just kind of going back to the last story, just very quickly, I think people need to understand that felony disenfranchisement is unconstitutional. It's one of the last remaining vestiges of Jim Crow that we seem to have just accepted into society, but it's based upon a misreading and misapplication of the 15th Amendment that Jim Crow era judges kind of read into the judicial record and that we go with right now. The amendment says prosecution or participation in or conviction of a crime or insurrection. It was meant to stop people who participated in the Civil War as insurrectionists from being able to vote, and now 150 years later is being used to stop African Americans from being able to vote. So we need to challenge that judicially, and I think state legislatures need to keep that in mind when repealing the felony disenfranchisement laws, that they are indeed Jim Crow era laws meant to stop African Americans from voting. And then secondarily on this redlining case, let's remember something, that the Supreme Court next term will be taking up what's called the Interstate Commerce Clause. The Interstate Commerce Clause was that expansion of federal rights that allowed the federal government to intercede in state level or individualized conduct if they had any indicia or any touching of interstate commerce. And some, that means that the only reason the federal government can enforce redlining and other civil rights standards against individual businesses is because of the Interstate Commerce Clause. What we have seen from this court right now is this 6-3 majority is willing to overturn any precedents, and so we cannot simply get distracted by some of the more media-driven stories. Once that Interstate Commerce Clause is gone, which may be next term, and which I think we need to be starting to plan for and fight against now, then all bets will be off. We'll be down to every single state being for themselves. That's a dangerous place to be at constitutionally.
Monique, this is another example of the great work that Christian Clark is doing, leading the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice. And I will hope the White House is paying attention. They should be touting these wins in this civil rights DOJ.
Yes, this is another great piece of work that they're doing, and they are, putting out the press releases, the talking points about all of these things that are happening. And so I think, it would be great for everybody to be doing what you're doing, which is covering it and pushing it out there so that as many people as possible can know about this work that is happening, because there really is only so much tooting of the own horn that the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice can do without it kind of crossing the lines into self-aggrandizement, which is frowned upon in government spaces for government lawyers who, as I said before, are supposed to be beholden to the Constitution of the United States. But it's up to us to take the things that they're doing, and anytime somebody says, this administration ain't done nothing for Black people, we should have a for real Black card with those things listed, and including some great things that I think will be coming down the pipe very soon, like tomorrow.
All right, folks, hold tight 1 second. We come back. We'll talk more about the opening of the Jackie Robinson Museum. A little bit later, they're going to be showing the movie after Jackie. We're going to talk with the director in just a second. We'll also hear from Slick Rick, from Dougie Fresh, Vivian Chu, Ray Chu. They performed last night here, and we'll have that for you. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered, the Black Star Network. Back in a moment.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
We're all impacted by the culture, whether we know it or not. From politics to music and entertainment, it's a huge part of our lives, and we're going to talk about it every day right here on The Culture with me, Faraji Muhammad, only on the Black Star Network.
Hey everybody, it's your girl Lunel.
So what's up? This is your boy Earthquake.
Hi, I'm Chaley Rose, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, welcome back to Roland Martin Unfiltered here at the opening of the Jackie Robinson Museum. This is day 3. Last night, the big gala party took place. The performers were Slick Rick and my man Dougie Fresh. They certainly tore the house down. They were rocking all night long. I had folks out here dancing and having a good time, and so it was great to see them on the stage. We live streamed it on Black Star Network. If y'all want to see the performance, simply go to the app, and you can check it all out. After the performance, I caught up with both of them as well as music directors, Ray Chu and his wife Vivian, when they talked about just what it meant for them to be involved in this historic opening of the Jackie Robinson Museum.
What's up, Slick Rick with Dougie Fresh? Thank you for having us celebrate Jackie Robinson's Museum, part of Black American history, you know what I mean? It's good to be a part of it, you know what I mean, and all that good stuff, you know? So, shout out to the vets. Love, right?
Guy, Doc, appreciate it.
First of all, keep watching my man, Roland Martin's joint. He's on fire. That's first. Let me get that off the plate. Second of all, reason why I'm saying that is because he's here covering something that means a lot. This is our history. Jackie Robinson has played such a major role in changing the conditions in America and went through a lot, more than anybody can ever imagine, and he still made it happen. So he should be an inspiration for all of us on what we can become. And 100th birthday to Miss Robinson, always.
Getting the call to be part of the event scene, to present all the entertainment for the Jackie Robinson Museum was an honor. It was an honor because Mr. Robinson was not just about baseball, he was about racial equality. And to celebrate Mrs. Robinson's 100th birthday, Mrs. Robinson, thank you for trusting Ray Chu, Vivian Chu, Chu Entertainment. God bless you.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is such an honor to be entrusted with the music and the production of the show tonight. You know, my wife and I put the whole thing together, and it's an honor because not only about Jackie Robinson, but Rachel Robinson, her 100th birthday, and the legacy of the Robinsons is incredible. So for us to be a part of that is an honor. Thank you.
Folks, joining us right now is the director of this movie they're about to show. It's called After Jackie. Andre Gaines with us right now. They're going to be showing it any moment. Andre, first of all, glad to have you here.
Thanks, sir.
And so tell us, what is After Jackie?
So After Jackie is about all the players that came after Jackie Robinson. So
sort of know life and history of the United States before Jackie Robinson, but there's a whole history that really came after Jackie Robinson, especially in the game of baseball, that doesn't get a lot of credit, including Jackie himself being the civil rights leader. A lot of people don't realize that he was marching with Dr. King, and so this was really the story about his life after baseball, and then also about several of the players that came after him that he was ushering into the game.
Now, this movie here aired on the History Network, correct?
Yeah, on History Channel. Yeah, so it came out History Channel Juneteenth weekend, and we're screening it here tonight with the opening of the Jackie Robinson Museum. It's been a beautiful event, a special event, being able to see Rachel Robinson and the whole family come out yesterday for the grand opening, and it'd be great to see them again tonight for the screening.
I mean, it is a remarkable story, and you're right. There were so many phenomenal baseball players who came after Jackie Robinson, who get sort of lost in all the focus just on him.
Yeah, so, so much focus was on not only Jackie Robinson, but really just him integrating baseball. We never really see the story of Jackie's life after that happens. We just sort of assume that everything was unicorns and glitter, but it really wasn't. And we also see that he had these battles he had to fight on the field. But then in this film, we really highlight Bob Gibson, Bill White, Curt Flood, three players that were all on the St. Louis Cardinals who had a very unique style of baseball, which was more reminiscent of the Negro Leagues. And also, they were the first time we really saw the combined player activists. Jackie was a player first and then became an activist in retirement. But once we get to the 60s, early 60s, we finally see the beginnings of the combined player activists, where these guys are playing at the highest level possible, but then also fighting for freedom and equality when they go off the field.
Of course, we lost Bob Gibson last year, along with Henry Hank Aaron as well, and so many great players. You're absolutely right. When you talk about...
but we still have Bill White. We still got Bill White. He's still here with us.
We talk about Curt Flood. I mean, there is no athlete.
That's right.
Not just baseball player. There's no athlete today who should not pay homage to Curt Flood, because it was his lawsuit. Although he lost, it was his lawsuit that paved the way for free agency in sports.
That's right. A lot of people don't realize that at all. I mean, this isn't all of sport. This is not just baseball, where he pioneered free agency, modern day free agency, by fighting against something called the reserve clause in baseball, which was like, you shouldn't be able to own me. I should be able to play on a team wherever I want to. But without Curt Flood, we wouldn't have a LeBron James, who was one of our executive producers, and the decision of being able to go wherever it is that he wanted to. And we have Curt Flood to thank for that. He made a tremendous, tremendous sacrifice.
All right. Well, look, Andre, we certainly appreciate it. It looks like that we're about to start screening right now. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
And sharing your
thoughts. As always, good to see you.
All right. Thank you very much,
Thank
Don.
you.
Thank you very much. Folks, we're going to switch over. We have the feed from them, correct? All right, so let's do this here. First of all, let me thank Monique, Robert, as well as Jason for y'all joining us on today's show. What we're going to do, folks, we're going to actually switch over to the feed from the program here, so you can actually experience this event as well. We want to thank the Jackie Robinson Foundation, Della, Brittney, for allowing us to do this. We've been broadcasting since Monday. This is why Black Star Network was created, to be able to cover these type of events that's happening in the black community all across the country. Your support absolutely matters, and so we thank all of you for doing so.